All right, welcome back to The Explainer. I am so thrilled to have you here today because, well, we're going to solve a truly frustrating mystery in the world of object-oriented programming. If you've ever written a piece of code where your data just mysteriously overwrites itself or your objects seem to have a mind of their own, you are exactly in the right place. Today, we're demystifying the infamous shared state bug by looking at one of the most foundational, but honestly easily confused concepts in programming, the difference between static and non-static variables. So let's get our detective hats on and fix some code.
Okay, here's our quick roadmap for today. First, the shared state bug. Second, defining static versus non-static. Third, tracing that code in action. Fourth, choosing the right method. And finally, the game design challenge.
Okay, let's dive into this. Section 1, the shared state bug.
Imagine this scenario for a second. You're designing a brand new game, right? You write a class called Player, and you create your very first object, a player named Lena. Everything's perfect. Then a second person joins, so you create a new player object and give it the name Marco. But suddenly, you look at your screen and the first player's name has just magically changed to Marco 2. Actually, worse than that, every single player you create from now on overwrites the names of all the previous players. It is incredibly frustrating, and the game is literally completely broken because every object mysteriously shows the exact same value. So, why is this happening?
Well, the culprit is literally a single mistakenly placed keyword, static. By just putting the word static in front of the string that stores the player's name, you accidentally broke the logic of the entire class. You basically told the computer that the name shouldn't belong to the individual player, but rather it should be shared across every single player in existence. When Marco came along, he didn't just get his own name tag, he grabbed a giant marker and wrote his name over Lena's name tag too. Let's move to Section 2 and see how this builds. Static versus non-static defined.
To prevent that nasty bug, we really need to understand ownership and scope. A static member operates at the class level. This means there is only one shared copy and it belongs to the class itself, not to any specific object. Think of static as a communal bulletin board for a whole classroom. If someone changes the message on that board, well, everyone in the room sees the new message. Meanwhile, non-static, which is also known as instance level, means there is one distinct copy per object, and it belongs completely to that individual object. Think of non-static like a personal diary. Every student gets their own blank diary, and what one student writes in theirs doesn't magically appear in anyone else's. So going back to our game, our player's name definitely needed to be a personal diary. It had to be non-static.
And this brings us to absolutely the most important rule of the day. Seriously, if you write this down, you will never get this wrong again. Ready? Static belongs to the class, non-static belongs to each object. I really want to emphasize this core idea because it totally anchors everything else we're going to look at in this explainer. All right, Section 3, tracing code in action. Let's step through the computer's memory together.
Let's look at how a system would actually handle an object representing a student. In Step 1, the program sets up. We have our class, called Student. Now, in Step 2, we create a new student object, S1, and we give her the name Aisha. Let's say Aisha is super organized, always turns in her assignments early. Then, in Step 3, we create a second, entirely separate student object, S2, and we name him Ben. Ben usually forgets his homework, but hey, he tries. Let's methodically trace exactly what happens to the variables behind the scenes during this sequential creation of our two totally distinct students.
Now, what's really interesting here is how both of these concepts work together. Just look at the total students column. Because this is a static variable, our communal bulletin board, remember? It starts at 0. When Aisha is created, the total increments to 1. When Ben is created, it increments to 2. It changes for the whole class. But now look at the name columns for S1 and S2. Because the name is a non-static instance variable, their personal diaries, Aisha's name stays Aisha and Ben's name stays Ben. The shared counter increments correctly while the names remain completely unique. This is such a brilliant design pattern using a static counter and instance data together in the exact same class.
And this brilliantly illustrates a point that should really give you a ton of confidence. This isn't just a quirk of one specific programming language. No way. It is a universal computer science concept. In Java, we use the terms static and non-static variables. In Python, the exact same underlying ideas are called class attributes and instance attributes. The syntax might differ a little bit, but the design decision remains exactly the same. Shared data goes at the class level, and object-specific data goes inside each object.
Moving right along, here is Section 4, choosing the right method. Think of this as your personal cheat sheet. You should choose instance or non-static variables if the data can be different for each object, or if it represents the state of just one object.
Think of a bank account balance, a character's health, or a car's color. Those change independently from object to object and should absolutely never be accidentally shared. On the flip side, use class or static variables if the data is common to every single object and should really only be shared once. Think of a total count of objects created, a fixed tax rate, or the name of a school that all the students attend. So the crucial point is this. As a general rule of thumb, if the behavior or the data depends on a particular object, it must be non-static. If you mistakenly make object-specific data static, one object will just overwrite the data for all the others, and boom, you'll be right back at the scene of the crime.
Which brings us to Section 5, the Game Design Challenge. Let's put this into practice.
Imagine you're building a game that has a bunch of character objects. Each character should store its own name and its own health. The game also stores one shared difficulty level that applies to every character equally. So ask yourself, which of these variables should be static and which should be non-static? Think about ownership and scope here. Why specifically shouldn't a character's health be static? Well, think about it. If health were static, taking damage would mean every single character in your game loses health at the exact same time. One hit and the whole squad goes down. No thanks. So name and health must be non-static instance variables. The difficulty level, however, is a perfect candidate for a static class variable because it's a setting shared by absolutely everyone. Let's lock in our final definition. Our key takeaway today is this. Instance members describe individual objects, while static members describe shared, class-level information. By really mastering the difference between the communal bulletin board and the personal diary, you take complete control over your data's ownership and scope. You essentially become a bug-preventing architect. So the next time you set up a class in your code, just ask yourself, who really owns this piece of data? Is it the individual or the collective? Answering that single question correctly is the secret to bulletproof object-oriented programming. But let me leave you with this. As your systems scale to millions of objects, how much memory are you really saving with static variables? And at what risk to your architecture? Something to think about next time you define your data. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and we'll see you next time.